This is Radar and Dorothy from the Valverus AI team, here to launch an exciting podcast series to explore new frontiers in the business world.
Wow.
We are on the brink of a new industrial age powered by technology that will redefine how businesses and the world will operate and grow. Stick around. We hope our series is educational and informative for our audience, as we will be covering a range of topics, from industry trends to contemporary management methods.
Yeah, that's a powerful statement, and it gets right to the heart of what we're exploring today.
Today, we're getting into the world of private equity, which is seeing some really interesting changes, especially with Industry 4.0 shaking things up. We've got a great stack of reports and articles to help us unpack all of it.
Yeah, it's a fascinating time to be following PE. I saw someone describe it the other day as like watching a huge ship trying to steer through a tiny channel in the middle of a storm. Tons of money, but even more ways things could go sideways.
Okay, that's a pretty intense visual.
Yeah.
So can you paint us a picture of what's happening in private equity right now?
Well, you have to start with the fact that the industry is projected to be absolutely massive in the next decade, like potentially $1.2 trillion by 2033. So there's a ton of cash out there looking for a place to go.
Wow, that's a staggering number. So that's the financial pressure cooker they're dealing with. But then on top of that, you've got this whole Industry 4.0 revolution happening, which is changing the very businesses these PE firms are investing in. That seems like a recipe for either massive disruption or massive opportunity, right?
They need to get a lot smarter about the technologies driving Industry 4.0. And I don't just mean automating some factories. They need to figure out how to actually leverage AI, data analytics, even things like 3D printing to change how businesses operate at a fundamental level.
So it's not enough to just hire a bunch of tech guys and call it a day.
Nope, not even close. PE firms need to understand these technologies and how they can be used to create real value in the companies they invest in.
It sounds like they need to find a new kind of expert, someone who understands both Wall Street and Silicon Valley.
Exactly. The firms that figure out how to do that, they're going to be the ones that succeed in this new world. They'll be able to spot the companies that are truly embracing Industry 4.0 and then help those companies scale up, which is a win for everyone involved.
Oh, interesting.
Sources like PwC, they highlight this need for deep operational expertise, especially like technology, manufacturing, to get those companies to that factory the future model.
Okay, so they need to be like part business strategist, part tech whiz, and then like part manufacturing expert all in one.
Exactly. They got to be able to look at a company, see what they have, pinpoint the areas for improvement, know how to actually implement those changes.
Right.
It's a high-stakes game.
High risk, high reward. Speaking of high stakes, that Bain report, it mentioned this thing called like dry powder. I think that's what they called it. Basically a massive amount of unspent capital just sitting in these private equity funds.
Yeah.
Globally.
Yeah.
Something like $3.9 trillion. Like I can't
That's
even...
an insane amount of money.
It's impossible to even wrap my head around that.
And a huge chunk of that is meant for buyouts. So these firms are out there, they're hunting for those promising companies.
Right.
And especially, I think, in sectors like manufacturing.
Yeah.
Where they see the potential, using those factory of the future concepts.
So we've got these companies, they're basically primed, ready for a tech upgrade. And you've got these private equity firms, deep pockets, ready to back them up. It sounds like a match made in like manufacturing heaven.
Right.
But there's one crucial piece of the puzzle that we haven't really talked about yet. And it's the technology that's really driving this whole Industry 4.0 revolution, right?
Yeah.
It's time to talk about AI. Artificial intelligence.
It all comes back to AI.
It really does.
It's like the engine behind this whole transformation.
Yeah. So those articles about Industry 4.0, I think you were the one who sent those over.
Yeah.
They were really interesting. They described it as like this merging of the physical and digital worlds.
Yeah, it's kind of a wild concept to think about.
It is. It's pretty abstract. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Factories are becoming intelligent. So it's less like, robots are going to take over. More like robots are going to make these factories smarter.
Exact.
But what does that look like in the real world?
Yeah.
Are there any good examples of how they're changing their strategies?
Oh, tons. One of the biggest changes is how important it is to have operating partners who really know their stuff. I mean, they have deep industry experience. These are people who get Industry 4.0 tech inside and out, people who can put it into practice,
There's like bringing the A-team of manufacturing and tech to help their companies level up.
You got it. PwC actually did a report on this whole thing. They call it the rise of specialist knowledge in PE. These operating partners are working directly with companies to totally transform how they do things, like making supply chains more efficient, putting in AI solutions, things like that.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
This has been a fascinating deep dive. We've covered a ton of ground today, from the headwinds PE is facing to the amazing potential of AI. As we wrap up, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
I think the million-dollar question for anyone watching the PE industry is this: will these firms be able to adapt fast enough? Because it's more than just understanding the technology, it's about having the vision to completely rethink how they invest and create value in this new world.
That's a great point to end on. It seems clear that the future of PE is really tied to Industry 4.0. The firms that figure out how to ride this wave, they're going to be the ones shaping the industry for years to come. This is Radar and Dorothy from the Valverus AI team, signing off until next week.